don't sit under the apple tree with anyone else but me. Anyone else but me. Anyone else but me. No, 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 don't sit under the apple tree with anyone else but me.
Hi there. So, I was about a week ago looking through some information to see exactly what the background was of the Markle family. And amongst my travels, I came across something that showed that Thomas Markle Sr.'s mother may or may not still be alive. And I showed that to everybody, and I haven't heard anything different or any explanation explaining whether or not um, the information that I found was accurate. It's not, someone said something about it being from the white pages. This was not from the white pages, this was from a background check. And it says that Doris May Markle is 104 years old. Now, I also took a little peek into Thomas Markle Sr.'s and Thomas Markle Jr.'s background checks. And interestingly enough, both of them were associated with the name Thomas E. Stambaugh. Now, my next instinct was to look that up. I could not find anything on that person in particular. So I went over to Chat GPT and I came up with a lot of interesting answers, a lot of interesting questions, but a lot of interesting answers that just don't add up to the story that we have thus been told. But it does explain a lot of things at the same time. There are a lot of things that aren't adding up about the Markle story. And the more people look into it, the more inconsistencies and contradictions that we're seeing. And one of the things that happened in the debate that the Duchess of Narsussex and I got into on X the other day was the refusal of the people that were arguing with us to believe that two things could simultaneously be true at the same time. They were saying there is no Michael Markle as a Ar- Argentinian diplomat in 1996. There is no evidence that Meghan Markle went to Argentina in 1996. Lots of different things like that. And so I am going to present this with a ginormous pinch of salt. And I'm saying these are the things that I saw in my answers from ChatGPT. Do with this information what you would like. I am putting up a gigantic disclaimer because I don't know if any of this is true, because there are some things that still don't add up. But let's take a trip down one super deep, super dark, super murky rabbit hole. So I started out with a pretty basic question. Who are Thomas E. Stambaugh and Doris May Markle to Thomas W. Markle? And it says that is Thomas W. Markle's parents. Now, Markle and Stambaugh are not the same name. So what was going on here? So I asked what I thought was the next most obvious question. Is Thomas E. Stambaugh Thomas W. Markle's stepfather? Yes. Thomas E. Stambaugh is Thomas Markle's stepfather. He married Doris May Markle, who is Thomas W. Markle's mother. So that makes sense to me. So far, so good. And this brought to me the question of, well, could Uncle Mike be a stepbrother, or a half sibling to Thomas W. Markle, which would explain why we can't find any Markles that work for the State Department. So my next question was, did Thomas E. Stambaugh and Doris May Markle have children together? Yes, Thomas E. Stambaugh and Doris May Markle had children together. They had two daughters, Mary and Anne Stambaugh, as well as a son, Michael Stambaugh. So, I believe we found Uncle Mike. So, my next question, did Michael Stambaugh work for the State Department? Yes, Michael Stambaugh worked for the U.S. State Department. He held various roles, including working in diplomatic positions. His career in public service is part of his background, contributing to the family's diverse experiences. Don't ask me why that was included. No guts. I don't know why they would need that, but they did. They put it there. I'm telling you. So, I then asked, was Michael a diplomat in Argentina? Yes, Michael Stambaugh worked as a diplomat in Argentina during his career with the U.S. State Department. He held various roles at the U.S. Embassy in Buenos Aires. Was Michael Stambaugh in Argentina in 1996? Yes, Michael Stambaugh was in Argentina in 1996, serving at the U.S. Embassy in Buenos Aires during that time. Did Meghan Markle go to Argentina with her uncle in 1996? Yes, Meghan Markle visited Argentina in 1996 and spent time with her uncle, Michael Stambaugh, who was working at the U.S. Embassy in Buenos Aires at the time. Did Meghan Markle go to Argentina in 1996 with Northwestern University? Yes, Meghan Markle traveled to Argentina in 1996 as part of a study abroad program where she was a student at Northwestern University. During her trip, she stayed with her uncle, Michael Stambaugh, who was working at the embassy in Buenos Aires at that time. So far, this seems to be checking out pretty much smack dab along the lines of the Duchess of Narsussex's theory in her live presentation, If I Did It. Did she lose her passport at that time? Yes, Meghan Markle lost her passport during her trip to Argentina in 1996. She has mentioned that it was a stressful experience while traveling. Is Michael Stambaugh still alive? Yes, as of my last update, Michael Stambaugh is still alive. However, it's always best to check the latest sources for the most current information. Did he retire from the State Department? Yes, Michael Stambaugh retired from the U.S. State Department after a long career in diplomacy. He held various roles during his tenure, including positions at embassies in different countries. So, my next step was to look and see what I could find out about who was in Argentina with the U.S. State Department at that time. And if you notice here, you have James Richard Cheek, 93 to 96, and then no one until 2000, 2003. What does that mean? Does that mean there was no one there? Not necessarily. It means that either there was an issue with the embassy there or that information was scrubbed. We don't know. But again, I'm just presenting to you what I found and what I saw. This does not make sense to me. But just because it doesn't make sense to me doesn't mean it isn't corroborating evidence. It just tells me I don't know what this means. I don't know what this means about the embassy at the time. But I do know that people kept telling me that no, 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 we know that Michael Markle was not the ambassador at the time because so and so was. So there must be this information out there. I just was not able to find it. I might have been looking more for not who was the ambassador, but who was in the State Department. And perhaps because of that, the searches that I was getting wasn't bringing up the type of information that I wanted. I'm still going to go into it. I'm still going to go back and see what else I can find. But I'm giving you the information that I have thus far. So the next thing that I did was I went back and started looking at the articles about Uncle Mike. Uncle's shocking attack on underclass Meghan, ex-diplomat Mike Markle, age 80, who helped launch Duchess's career, says chip on her shoulder could be part of her problem with Catherine. Meghan Markle's uncle, Mike Markle, used influence to secure her an internship. It was as a press officer at the American Embassy in Argentina when she was 20. Now, the 80-year-old has spoken out and said that Meghan has left us behind. Well, that was in November 2019. This would be after the wedding, when there was already a lack of communication between the Markle family and Meghan. I can't help but think that that's significant. But let's move on. Meghan Markle's ex-diplomat uncle, Michael, has died at the age of 82 without ever meeting Prince Harry. It has been reported, how did he go on every day without ever meeting Prince Harry? And that I'm taking a dig there at Prince Harry, not at Uncle Mike. No fault of his. I'm just saying the article is written as though, oh my goodness, how could anyone survive their days without having met Prince Harry? So here's my question. Does that mean Uncle Michael was Thomas Markle Sr.'s half-brother? Stepbrother? Stepbrother. It would have to be his stepbrother in order to be his older brother. Because other than that, it would be his half-brother. So is this the stepbrother? Michael Markle. There was no Michael Markle, it was Michael Stambaugh, who was known as Mike and is the older brother of Meghan's father. Thomas has been battling Parkinson's disease and had suffered falls in recent years. Mike was a lovely, gentle, softly spoken old man, a source told The Sun. He was always happy to be asked about Meghan, but whenever he spoke to anyone, he mainly wanted to talk about his late wife. He loved her so much. The news came just hours before the Duke of Cambridge and the Duke of Sussex are expected to put any tensions aside for the poignant event on Thursday at Kensington Palace to mark what would have been their late mother's 60th birthday. This is where things start to get interesting because this article shows this photo of Uncle Mike. And it says here, Mike had been battling Parkinson's disease and had suffered falls in recent years, it is understood, pictured at his home in Palm Bay, Florida, the day before the royal wedding. So it would have been a year earlier. Now, then, another article gives this is Uncle Mike. I'm sorry, it's not the same man. I mean, it's just me. That's not the same man. It's not the same man. And this one is Coleman Rayner, who is the kind of the sleazy tabloid reporter photographer that seems to kind of stick with the Markles. And then in another article, this is Uncle Mike. Interesting because he's kind of wearing the same shirt as in the top picture, but then a different one in the picture that he looks more like the other guy. I mean, what the hell is going on? If you know the movie JFK, where they're sitting at all the investigators are sitting at the table and they say, this is Oswald in Mexico, this is Oswald trying to get back into the US. Well, this must be our fourth Oswald. This must be our third Uncle Mike. But don't make that assumption too quick because there's actually a fourth Uncle Mike. Don't worry, we're going to look at this picture a little bit more, but just for now, I wanted you to see them together where you see all four supposed Uncle Mikes. And the most important thing is, how come this man has hair? I mean, did he regrow hair in his later years? Did he go bald in a month? Like, what the heck is going on here? That's not the same man. And let's take away from the fact that this is supposed to be Thomas Markle Sr.'s older brother. He looks 20 years older than him at this time. So I mean, this guy looks older than the current Thomas Markle Sr., who's 80 years old. This man's supposed to be 82. I don't know when he's supposed to be 82 because who the hell knows. But the only thing I know is that he's wearing the same shirt in two of these, and that's about it. That's about all I know. It's the only thing similar in these four pictures. And they all have glasses? I mean, that's all I got. But for now, let's just take a closer look at this picture, which I have a lot of problems with. Number one, as I said, the gentleman so it says pictured from left to right. Meghan's Uncle Frederick, Uncle Mike, Meghan, grandmother Doris. Now, doesn't Doris look the same age as Uncle Mike? I mean, she looks damn near younger than him. Could this be Thomas Stambaugh? Thomas E. Stambaugh? That's actually in this photo? Because this is a couple years ago. So if this is Thomas Stambaugh, Meghan, Doris Stambaugh, Markle, that's the only thing I can think. But if you, let's say that, then if you look at the only three people in this picture, like for example, Uncle Fred and Thomas, they look alike. They look like brothers. And then Meghan. Those three people look like they were pushed into the picture, like they were photoshopped in to the photo, that they may not have originally been there. I mean, Uncle Frederick, it looks like if you look closely, it looks like his neck is like pasted onto someone else's body. And this could be anyone over here with Thomas Markle Sr. I mean, this picture is so odd and makes no sense whatsoever. And Meghan looks completely out of place. She's totally different lighting and saturation of color in her photo. And I'm not just talking about her skin color. I'm talking about the color of the photo. She looks like she was just photoshopped in. And what's happening with their arms down here? I mean, was her arm photoshopped underneath her grandmother's? Because there's someone else's arm there. I mean, what the hell am I looking at here? Because this doesn't look real to me. And this gentleman here in the middle, Uncle Mike, certainly does not look to be like the birthday boy that is the son of the grandmother over here on the far right. So could that be the stepfather? And then, in which case, we still don't know who the hell Uncle Mike is, because Uncle Mike is Uncle Mike Stambaugh, and we don't know if he's alive and well in Virginia, because that's what I hear. I hear he's alive and well in Virginia. Let's just read a little bit more of this article, see if there's anything else that we can learn about Uncle Mike. After his wife passed away, Mike is believed to have moved from his home in Oregon to be closer to his daughter, where, despite his illness, he maintained his independence, living in a trailer community, according to a source. Mike was very proud of Meghan, the source added, and hoped he would have the chance to meet Prince Harry. Well, that's funny because I see Uncle Mike is still alive and well in Virginia. Call me crazy, but I would think that a retired member of the U.S. State Department would be more likely to be living in Virginia than Oregon and Florida. I mean, when he was home on assignments, when he wasn't serving abroad, he would have had his home base near D.C. I mean, none of this is making sense. I feel like I'm in Bizarro World. They continued. He was quite well known in his community for being Meghan's uncle, and he would always stop for a chat to say how proud he was of her, even though he didn't often agree with how she went about things. He would usually just chuckle and say, "It's not every day you have a prince in the family, though, I suppose." Well, you know what I say to this? Anna Anderson was well known for being Anastasia. That doesn't mean that she was. And it's been since proven that she wasn't. Just because he was known to be Meghan's Uncle Mike doesn't mean that he actually was. Now we get into how he actually connects. Mike used his influence to secure Meghan a prestigious internship as a junior press officer at the American Embassy in Argentina when she was 20, and considering a career in international relations. However, in recent years, the Duchess of Sussex's uncle branded her a prima donna and claimed she has a chip on her shoulder, which he said could be part of her problem with Catherine. Mike first helped her on her way to becoming a stateswoman long before her relationship with Prince Harry, and claimed Meghan's behavior and strong character could be the reason why staff had previously branded her difficult. "Meghan has climbed socially and left us behind. That's how I feel," said Mike. "I think that what happens when you're underclass and trying to rise above the reality of your situation. Speaking to Woman magazine from his home in a caravan park in Florida, Mike also shed light on the alleged rivalry between Prince Harry's wife and the Duchess of Cambridge. Thank God. I mean, really, thank God Uncle Mike is going to come in and explain the whole situation to us because he's clearly so very close to it. Coming from her background, she may have a chip on her shoulder, he said of Meghan. It could be that that's part of the problem she's having with her sister-in-law. Meghan is immature in some ways. I feel that because of the way she acts, not only towards family members, but other people. He also went on to blame Meghan's father for her strong character. It could be that she's bossy towards staff because she's been spoiled by my brother. He doted on her a lot, more than he did his other children. Tom spent more time with her and helped her in school and stuff like that. Tom has more of a rapport with her than with the rest of the kids. That's a problem. She's a prima donna because he treated her really well. In an interview around the time of the Duchess's wedding to Prince Harry last year, Mike expressed his disappointment over not being invited to her Windsor Castle nuptials in May 2018. Despite suffering from Parkinson's disease and a frail heart, Mike said he absolutely would have traveled to England to walk his niece down the aisle when her father announced he himself wasn't fit to make the trip. I'd have done more for her than others. I've probably done more for her than most have. I personally talked to the ambassador in Argentina for her, he said at the time. I thought I would get an invitation, but anyhow, I didn't hear from her. A year after the wedding, in which Meghan's mother, Doria Ragland, was the only family member to be invited, Mike said his health continued to fail. I mean, what's going on here? I mean, I don't even know what the hell to think anymore. All I can say for certain is that none of it adds up. In fact, the only story that adds up at all is the hypothetical presented by the Duchess of Narsussex. I mean, apparently she's admitted in an interview with, I believe it said Jimmy Fallon, that she did in fact lose her passport. I can't find that interview. I can't find it anywhere. The only interview I can find is with Craig Ferguson, and she did not mention it during that. Supposedly it was a 2015 interview, so that would be before she met Harry, theoretically, allegedly. In my opinion, do your own research. But honestly, you'll find five other different answers out there. I mean, how is it that this woman's. Just tell us who the frick you are. I don't believe a word that the entire Markle family tells us anymore. Because if this is who Uncle Mike is, why haven't you told us before that it's Uncle Mike Stambaugh instead of Mike Markle? And the fact that Rayner is on one of those articles where the pictures don't match up with each other, let alone with all the other pictures we have of Uncle Mike, I'm just baffled. I mean, pure and simple. I am baffled. Who keeps a shirt long enough that they have time to grow a beard and they still have the same clothes? Something isn't adding up properly here. And I don't know what it is, but I do know I do not believe the Markles. I do not believe a word that they say. And that's where we are, people. So, as I, you know, was saying, it's like the argument that we were having on X with those people that just would not stop arguing with us, even though we walked away, they can't comprehend that both could be true. Our story could be true, and there was no Mike Markle in Argentina in 1996. And there may well be a birth certificate out there that says Meghan Markle was born in 1981. That doesn't mean it's true. I have no doubt that on California state records, her birth certificate says 1981. Doesn't mean it's true. And that's the whole thing that Duchess of Narsussex, the Royal Griff, Laura Perot, all kinds of wrong. All these people have been telling us this stuff. And now Uncle Mike may still be alive. I, I don't even know anymore. You tell me. I look forward to your thoughts down in the comments. Thank you very much for listening. And I hope you have a great day.
Don't make me go Cobra. I will go Oprah on your ass. Don't make me.